In this video, I'm going to show you how to create an Evergreen webinar in System.io. Now, Evergreen webinars are great to help you sell high-ticket products and services. And basically, you can shoot that webinar one time and leverage it over and over again by hosting it on a platform like System.io to continue to sell your products for you. Now, this System.io Evergreen webinar tutorial is for Evergreen webinars, not live webinars, so just bear that in mind. Now, if you need a software to create live webinars, then I recommend Webinar Jam, and I've left a link in the description below this video if you want to check that out. Now, back to System.io and the Evergreen webinar feature. If you're wanting to use this on System.io, then you're going to need to upgrade to either the webinar plan or higher in order to use this feature. So if you still need to do that, then you can get 30% off of the webinar plan via another link in the description below this video. Now, let's get into the tutorial and I'll show you how to set this up. So once you log into your System.io account, if you head over to websites and then select sales funnels, then come to the top right corner and click on the create button. And now from here, you need to give our webinar a name, select the domain you want to host it on. To do this, you'll first actually have to connect your custom domain to System.io account, and then you'll be able to select it from the drop-down menu here. So if you're not sure how to connect your custom domain to a System.io account, then you can watch this video that I'm showing on my channel right now. I'm also leaving a link to that video in the description below this video, so it's easy for you to find it if you need to watch that. Then the next step is you need to pick this option to run an Evergreen webinar. Select your currency and click save. And now you'll find your new webinar funnel at the top of the list here. So click on the name of your new funnel and you'll see that System.io has already set up 3 basic pages for you, which is first of all the webinar registration page at the top of your funnel, then the thank you page, and then the webinar broadcast page. So with the webinar registration page selected, we first want to select our template, and we've got quite a few templates to choose from here. The System.io has got quite a few options. I'm just going to select this template here, click the select button, and now you can change the name of this page right here if you want to. And next field you'll see is the webinar duration. So this is in the seconds, and this is important because this Evergreen webinar is essentially simulating a live webinar. So if someone joins late, for example, if they're 10 minutes late and they click your link to join your webinar, they'll join at the 10-minute point and they would have missed the first part of the webinar. So basically, if they missed the start of the webinar, when they click your link to join, they'll join at whatever time it is through your webinar based on the time they chose to initially watch the webinar. So whatever your webinar duration is, make sure you enter this in seconds here. Then underneath, you can change the URL path to change this to something like webinar sign up. And then from here, we're going to head over to the right-hand side to click on edit page, where we can design the look and feel of our page. So I've chosen a pretty simple template here. And basically, all you want to do is introduce your webinar, with your headline. Perhaps you might want to put a bit of information about the host of the webinar, a bit of information about what the webinar is about and what they're going to learn from it. So the benefits of them actually joining your webinar. So that said, the important part really on this page is a place where they can actually sign up. So when they click this button, it's going to trigger a pop-up. So if you come to the top left and you see this option for pop-ups, you'll see there's a pop-up here that's already set up as part of this template. If I click on this eye icon, it's going to open that pop-up. So now we can see what it's going to look like. And here you can enter an image here for your webinar by uploading it in this field here. For example, if I'm going to click on this little cloud icon, I either drag and drop my image here, or I can select an image that I already have in my library. So let's just choose this one for now. And now here, this is of course where participants are going to enter their name and email address and select the time and the date they want to watch your webinar. So selecting the time and date section, if we come over again to the far left at the top here of the menu bar, we've got a few options. So with the start time, from this drop down, we can either select a specific time. So for example, what's currently set here is 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. In the drop down, that's the options that people will have. And of course, you can change this. You can make this, let's put it like 10 p.m. as well, or get rid of 8 p.m., for example. So this way, whatever day of the week people will sign up to join your webinar, they'll have these two options on that specific day, where they can choose to watch it at 6 p.m. or 10 p.m. or whatever times you've chosen here. Or alternatively, the other options is next quarter, next half hour, or next hour. So if you choose one of these, if we go for next quarter, now what's going to happen is when someone signs up to watch your webinar, the options they'll have is within 15 minutes of whatever time they've signed up. So if you want to make it so that people can watch your webinar potentially as quick as possible when they sign up, you can select every quarter. And if they sign up at, for example, 5:45, the webinar will start at 6 p.m. If they signed up at 5:50, the webinar will still start playing at 6 p.m. because it's within that quarter, if that makes sense. So I'm going to leave this set to next quarter for now. I'm just going to click Save Changes, and then we're going to exit out of this page. So now if we're going to have a look at see what this page looks like, go to View Funnel Step. So here's our simple landing page, and when the person clicks the button, the pop-up's going to appear, and they've got the option here to select the time. So currently I'm recording this video. It's 5:40 in the afternoon, and I've selected this time option for this webinar to be set to quarterly. So that's why Funnel is now telling me the webinar is going to start at 5:45. So I hope that makes sense. Anyway, let's go back to our funnel. And the next thing we want to do is to set up our webinar thank you page. Because once the person's entered their information on the registration page, they're automatically going to be redirected to the thank you page. So selecting the thank you page now, we're going to choose a template again. So for this page, I'm just going to choose this one just for speed. And then come into the far right hand side and click on the edit page button to bring us into the page editor of this page. So of course, you're going to want to change the colors and the branding and the fonts and whatnot so it matches your other pages. But this is just a quick demo for you guys, just to show you how to set up the essential parts of your funnel. Now, a couple of really important things here is, first of all, you'll see this box that says the date and time of the webinar, and this will automatically update for your visitors depending on when they sign up and depending on the timing options you offered them on the registration page that I showed you in the pop-up. So make sure you don't delete this box, leave this here. And again, underneath here, this other element is also really important. You'll see this URL says your subdomain.system.io/webinar. Looks a bit messy, but don't worry, this is also going to automatically update, and it's going to automatically insert your custom domain here, whatever custom domain you've selected to use with this funnel. And this is going to be the link for visitors to click to then watch your webinar. So these two items, leave them both in place, and they're going to automatically update when people visit this page. So if I click on save changes to this page, and then I'm going to exit, and now we want to go and set up the broadcast page. So come to the left sidebar menu and select webinar broadcast. Now here we've only got two options for template. I'm just going to select this one and let's rename the URL path. Just going to call it webinar for now. And then let's go over to edit page. And now here, this is just a really simple page with our video. So we click on the video. In the left sidebar now, we will have this drop down menu for video type. So here we can either have direct URL, and this is the option you'll want to use if you've got this video hosted on another platform, like for example, Vimeo or Wistia or YouTube, whatever that is, you'll put that URL in here. Alternatively, if you want to upload that video directly to your system account, then you'll use this option here to upload file, and then select this option here to drag and drop your video in here. So now if we go and view this page as it currently stands at the moment, come up to the eye icon to preview. Now we'll see there's this timer here automatically that System.io has put in place for us. And this is a nice feature. If the person arrives at your webinar early, then they're going to see this countdown timer before they visit the page. And then once they're on the page, the video will start to play by itself. So basically, once someone signed up for your webinar, they're redirected to the thank you page. If they click that link on the thank you page to go to view the webinar before the start time, so if they're 10 minutes early, for example, they'll see that countdown timer with a 10-minute countdown still to go. Now that said, if they click that link and the webinar's already started, then they're just going to arrive at this page to watch the webinar, and they're going to join the webinar, but the webinar's going to be already playing, because if they're a few minutes late, then they'll miss the beginning of it. So I hope that makes sense. Wait, let's go back to the page editor for the webinar page. And now some things you can do. Of course, you're going to be most likely selling a product or a service on this webinar. So at whatever point during the webinar that you introduce your product or service and you want to give attendees the option to purchase, you're going to want to display a buy now button. So most likely you've been on webinars yourself before and you see the webinar page, and then it's like 40, 50 minutes into the webinar, and then a button will appear for attendees to make a purchase if they want to. So they show you how to do that. So in the left sidebar, if we look at the elements, we're going to select this one, which is labeled button, drag this in. If I just drop it under the webinar at the moment, I'm just going to change the background color. I don't particularly like that background color. Just going to put that just to a bit more of a grey color for now. So this is a simple way to do it. It's just to add the button, and let's just say, label the button name, whatever you want to label it. And let's change the color to something bold, stands out a bit more. That'll do. And now if you want to set a timer for this button to appear at a particular time during your webinar, so if you select the button, then the sidebar menu will change, and then you want to scroll down, look for the option to delay the button before displaying, which is almost right down the bottom here. In this field here, you need to enter the time you want the button to appear in seconds. So let's say, for example, your webinar is an hour and you want this to appear, say, 50 minutes into the webinar. 50 minutes is 3,000 seconds. I'll enter this, and then this button will only appear once your attendees have got to the 50-minute mark, as an example. And then this button will link to the checkout page of whatever it is you're selling, which I'll show you how to set up in a minute. But now, before we do that, if you want to get a bit more fancy, you can also put a bit more information about what it is you're selling. Of course, you're going to be talking about that during the webinar anyway, but it can often look more attractive if you also write some more details about it below the webinar and before the purchase button. So just as an example, we can drop, first of all, an image into this new row here, and then upload the image of the product we're selling by selecting the image, then coming over to the left sidebar and selecting image file. Now here you can drag and drop your image or select from your image library. I'm going to put that one in for now. And let's go back to the elements. Perhaps let's put a headline here and say something like what you'll get, something like that. And then let's grab a text element and drop that underneath the image. And we'll write up something about the product. And then you might want to put some bullet points in and say something like benefit 1 and benefit 2 and 3, etc. And also you might be offering some bonuses. So let's go and grab another headline and drop that underneath the benefits. And let's go and grab another bullet point list, drop that underneath, and you write what your bonuses are. So bonus 1, whatever that is, and then write the value and so on. So pretty simple to lay this out. I mean, this looks pretty crap. This is just an example to show you guys.
It's crap. Pure, unadulterated crap.
And this only took less than 2 minutes. You obviously make this look much nicer, but it's just to show you how to do it. Now, what's important is you'll notice all this information I've just put in here is all within the same row. So if you look at my mouse, as I hover over, this blue box appears and we see the image and the text is all within one row. I'm just going to grab that headline and bring it into the same row. So I want everything to be in this same blue box here. I'm just going to delete this row. Don't need that right now. Let's get rid of that. So now everything is inside except for that button. Let's also drag the button in as well. Now, as you remember, I put the timer on this button. So I'm just going to get rid of that, delete this, because we're going to put the timer on the whole box to appear at your specific point in your webinar when you start introducing your product. And that's when you want all this information to appear. So if I select the whole row now with all of this inside, then comes the left sidebar and scroll all the way down to the bottom. Again, we've got this option to delay this item until a particular time. So, let's say if it's 50 minutes in, whatever, you put 3000 seconds, which is 50 minutes. And now during the play of this webinar, all of this will not be displayed until you get to the 50-minute mark. So if I just show you what that looks like, I'm just going to go back to the row. If I change that to 10 seconds, just so I can show you what that will actually look like. So now let's hover over to the top right and click on Save Changes, and then come to the eye icon, which is the preview mode. And now there's the countdown timer, which will start. And this is, of course, going to be showing if your attendees are early to the webinar. And then once the countdown timer finishes, our video will show, or our webinar will show, and it will start to autoplay. Now, this is just a dummy video. It only goes on for a few seconds, so it's going to stop in a minute. But on the bottom here, if you look by the 10-second mark, there we go. Now we've got our product information has appeared with the button to make the purchase. So far, so good. So now what we need to do is we need to create a checkout page where your webinar attendees can purchase this product and then connect this button to the checkout page. So let me show you how to do that now. So I'm going to go back to my funnel and exit the webinar broadcast page. So now we need to add the checkout page to our funnel. So on the left sidebar, come down to the bottom where it says add step. And now here, need to name our page. Let's just call it checkout for now. And then from the page type, we need to choose the order form, which is under the sales section. So select order form, click save. And now here is our checkout page. Now here, we need to select a template. And again, we've got quite a few different templates to choose from. I'm just going to choose this one. So select this template. And now here, before we set anything up on the back end of our checkout page, I'm just going to name this to checkout. And then let's go to the edit page button on the far right hand side. Now here, of course, is where you can edit the information on your page, add your picture, add the details of the products and so on. So let's go back. Once you've done that, you then need to set up product delivery. So your product will be delivered to your customers upon purchase. So if we scroll down to the bottom of this page, first thing you need to do is choose what type of product you're selling. Is it physical or digital? So let's go for digital product. And now here, next to the digital product title on the right-hand side, we've got this plus button. So we click this plus button, and now we can name the product. So let's say, for example, in this webinar, you're selling a fitness course. So whatever that name of that product is, I'm just going to call it fitness course. And then under resources on the right-hand side, you need to click the button. And the options we have from this drop-down are courses, course bundles, tags, and communities. So the first thing you're going to want to do is add a tag, because this tag will help you to identify who has purchased this product. So before we do this, you need to set up your tag. So come up to the contacts tab at the top and select tags. And now from here, you need to create the new tag. And let's call it fitness product demo, just so I will remember to delete this after. So click save. So here is our tag created. Let's head back to our funnel, which is here. We want to make sure that the checkout page form is selected. And again, come down to the bottom here where it says choose offer type, digital product, the product name, because we haven't saved this. I'm just going to enter this again, fitness what did I call it? Course. Let's just call it fitness course demo, just so I can identify that and get rid of it later. Actually, I put that in the wrong place. What we need to do, where it says digital product on the right hand side, we need to come to the plus button. And now here we can name the product fitness course. And then under resources, we need to click the plus button, hit the drop down menu, select tags. And now we've got another drop down. And from here, we should have our tag appearing in the list. Sometimes it takes a minute or so to appear. So if that's the case, then just refresh your page. Select the correct tag, which is fitness product demo. Here we go. And then we select another resource, which is, so in this case, we're setting a course. So the second resource we need to select is courses. And I'm presuming you've already got your courses set up, which would be under products and under the courses tab. If you don't know how to do that, then you can watch this video that I'm showing on my channel right now. And that will show you exactly step by step how to set up your course in system.io. Then once that course is set up, from this drop down menu, you will then see your course in here. So I'm just going to select this one. Let's say this is our course that we're selling in this particular webinar funnel. Select your course, and then you get a new drop down, which asks you for the course type access you want to give to people. So we're going to give them full access upon purchase. So I'm going to leave both of these unchecked. And I'm going to give them lifetime access as well. So I'm going to leave this one unchecked as well. And then next thing we need to do is set up a price plan. So under price plans, on the right hand side, you need to click on the blue plus button. And now here we can select if it's a one-time payment, subscription, or payment plan. Let's say it's a one-time payment. Now, if you already have your price plan set up, you can choose an existing price plan from this drop-down menu here. Or if you don't have the price plan set up and you need to create it now, then you click this link here to create your new price plan. So now here, you will name your product. So whatever you write here will be displayed on the checkout form for your customers to see. And whatever you put in this box will be displayed on your dashboard for you to see. So I just keep it the same. I don't know really why you would make them different, but of course it's up to you. Now, statement descriptor, this is very important. Whatever you write here is what will show on your customer's bank statement. So you want to make this very clear. So when they see the bank statement, they recognize instantly, oh yeah, they know what that purchase is for. And providing they like your product, they're not going to refund it. But what you don't want to happen is you don't want them to look at their bank statement and then just not recognize the transaction because you haven't made it clear here what this purchase is actually for. And then they might contact their credit card company or their bank and do a chargeback, which you see don't want. So make that very clear so your customer knows exactly what the payment's for. We've already selected one-time payment. Then here you enter your price point and click save. So I'm not going to click save now because currently in system.io, when you set up a price plan, you can't delete them. That's not a massive issue. It's just I don't want a long list of price plans that I'm not actually planning to use because this is just a demo video for you guys. But what you would do here is click save and that would save all of this and you're good to go. And what will happen upon purchase, system.io will send your new customer an email on your behalf with a link for them to access the course. So the email that system.io will send to them will have instructions for your new customer to be able to set up their username and password, be able to access that course. Okay, so that's how you'd set up your product delivery and the payment. Now, one other thing you might like to do is you might like to, or recommend it's a good idea to do it, is to subscribe your new customers to a post-purchase email campaign. So upon purchase, they'll receive that one-off email from system.io on your behalf to give them access to the course. But then you also want to subscribe them to an automated email follow-up campaign. Might be about 4 or 5 or 6 emails they'll receive over a week or so. It just welcomes your new customer to the course and encourages them to consume your course. So of course, that's what you want them to consume your course. Because when they see you're providing really good information and good value and they like your products, they're more likely to purchase from you again. So if you were to do that, if you wanted to do that, you'd first need to go under emails campaigns and set up your automated email campaign. Now that is an entirely separate video. To show you how to do that, you can watch this video I'm showing on the screen right now, and that will walk you step by step through how to set up your automated email campaign. Then once that campaign is set up on this checkout page, you'll then come to automation rules. Now under automation rules, we can click add new rule and then click add a trigger, and our trigger will be new sale. And now it's asking us, well, what action will happen upon new sale? So on the actions side, click on the plus button, and the action to be taken will be to subscribe them to a campaign. And now we have a drop-down menu, and system.io is asking you, well, which campaign do you want to subscribe them to? And from this drop-down, you'll have a list of all your campaigns that you already have currently set up in your system.io account. And again, if you don't know how to set up your email automated campaign, that step-by-step video to show you exactly how to do it is in the description of this video. So let's just say I'm going to choose this email campaign here. Then I'm going to click on Save Rule. And now this rule is set up. So now the last thing to do here, but actually a couple more things to do still. So first of all, we need to connect this checkout page to the button on our webinar broadcast page. So if you remember, go back to the webinar broadcast page and we view the page. As you remember, this button will link to our checkout page. So to do that, we need to come to first select the checkout page. Let's go to view funnel step in the right hand side. This will open the page. So I'm going to copy the URL of this page, then go back to our funnel. We need to go back to the webinar broadcast page, go to edit page. Now we need to click on our button, and the top left hand corner on the menu bar at the very top, we can see we have an option asking us action when button clicked. And the option we want from the drop down is this one, open new URL, and we can paste the URL in here and then come over to the top right and click on save. So now if we go to preview this page once again, this is the webinar broadcast page. Again, if the customer's early, they're going to see the countdown timer. Once that finishes, we're going to see our webinar video that will start to play automatically. And after a few seconds, in this particular case, because this is a demo, but wherever you've set that timer to appear will be the product information underneath our webinar. So now we click on this button, it should open to our checkout page where your webinar attendees could make a purchase of the products you're selling in your webinar. Okay, now, so just one more step to show you, which is setting up the automatic delivery of your webinar replay link. Let me show you how to do that. So you want to head back to your funnel and make sure you've selected the webinar registration page. And then from the menu items along the top here, come to the right to the very end and select this one that says emails. And now if I click on here and click on create, now here we've got the option to write an email. So if we just call it webinar replay and then might write hi and then choose the person's first name. Here's your webinar replay link. And then we want to include from the substitute, the drop down, we have this option here which says link to page with webinar replay. So now when you send this email, it's going to automatically generate the person's name and it's also going to auto generate your webinar replay link, which is pretty cool. And then the next box we need to look at is this one that says settings on the right hand side. You need to select when you want this email to be sent. So how many minutes after either webinar registration or the webinar start time. So let's say our webinar is 1 hour and we want to send the webinar replay link 1 hour after the webinar has finished. So that means in that case, we need to change this to 2 hours. So I'm going to change this to hours and then change this to 2. So now this email will be automatically sent to each of your attendees 2 hours after the start of the webinar, or whatever start time that was for each of the individual attendees. Because of course, those times are going to be different because it's an evergreen webinar. Different people are going to be watching your webinar at different times. Regardless, they're still going to receive this email in this particular case 2 hours after it started for each individual attendee. Hope that makes sense. Anyway, once you set this up, click save and you are good to go. So there you go. That's how you can set up an evergreen webinar in System.io. Now, if you still need to upgrade to the webinar plan to be able to use this feature, then bear in mind you can save 30% on your account via the link in the description below this video. Now, if you've got value from this video, then please do like, share and subscribe. Really helps my channel out a lot and I really appreciate it. And if you need more help with anything else in System.io, then I've got lots of step-by-step tutorials on System.io on my channel, and you can see my System.io playlist right here.